tonight, just a few minutes before Georgia will be taking on Ole Miss in a huge game tonight for the University of Georgia. And to be honest with you, we were going to be on the air just a little bit earlier, but man, I was stuck on that Tennessee and Missouri game, and it looks like as we come on the air tonight that it's going to be Missouri taking out Tennessee. And I got to tell you, after watching that game, fortunate to have beaten Missouri last Saturday in Athens. Missouri playing a fantastic game, and the kid Schrader, the running back, what a night! Over 300 yards offense by himself tonight against Tennessee. Pretty amazing. Hey, we're just so happy to have brother. I call him brother. Tim Worley with us. Of course, he played for Georgia back 1985 to 1988. 2,000 over 2,000 yards career rushing yards for Georgia. Went on to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers for seven seasons. And it's good to have Tim with us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about Georgia and Ole Miss in this game. How you doing, Tim? Good to have you with us today.
Hey, Chris, how you doing, brother? It's great to be with you, man.
Yeah, and Tim and I kind of follow each other on social media, and we call each other brother because we're brothers in the Lord, right?
Amen. Amen, brother.
Amen. Now, I was busy watching the Missouri Tennessee game. You were watching Florida State, and who are they playing?
They're playing Miami. It's a very good game.
Oh,
Florida State look like they're going to take it, win it.
Yeah, Florida State. I tell you, I know they're in the ACC championship game, so you almost you can look at Florida State and say, well, they're pretty well assured that they're going to make it in the playoffs unless something really weird happens. But hey, it's college football and weird things happen. But Tim, we wanted to check in tonight. Georgia and Ole Miss, number 2 in the country against number 8 or number 9 in the country against Ole Miss. The big story, I think, that everybody is really kind of riveted in on in the past few minutes is the fact that it appears as if Brock Bowers, the super tremendous tight end for the University of Georgia, is going to be playing tonight. So give me your thoughts as we approach this game, a huge game for Georgia. And if with Tennessee losing probably, that means if Georgia wins tonight, they will clinch the SEC Eastern Division and they'll be in the championship game. So tell me your thoughts about this game as we approach it.
Well, of course, Ole Miss has always been, they could always be a threat, no matter how earlier in the season or late in the season that we play them. I know we always played them kind of toward the middle of the season. I had an opportunity to play them 3 times in my career, and they're the team that blew my knee out. So, yeah. But I feel like Georgia, we can win this game. We just got to be on our A game because you're dealing with Lane Kiffin's offense.
Right.
It's a very hurry-up, speedy offense, and they accumulate a lot of yards through the air. And once they establish that, they also can run the ball well. They got a pretty good defense that flies to the ball. They're like swarming ants. And, like I said, any given Saturday, anybody can beat anybody. But I just believe that Georgia's prepared for them. Coach Smart always have these guys prepared. I think the defense is going to have to step it up and play like they've never played before because this is probably one of the best offenses that we're going to see all year long.
Yeah,
and I can't see us winning this. I'm a predict that we win by 10 points.
Okay, yeah, I'm 34-17, but that's really nothing new because I always say 34-17 because when I predict score, Georgia usually wins. So I stick with. It's not very scientific. I kind of stick with that. Lane Kiffin, he's very innovative. To be honest with you, a lot of people, he kind of rubs a lot of people the wrong way in a lot of ways. I love Lane Kiffin. I think he's he's kind of a cool guy, and he's a very innovative college football coach. And he's got the Rebels playing very well. Now, of course, Alabama took him out pretty well, but they won a big game against Texas A&M at home last week. Ole Miss is 8-1 on the year, 5-1 on the in the SEC. Now with Alabama winning today over Kentucky, Alabama has clinched the Western Division of the SEC, so Ole Miss has no hope for that. But with only one loss, if they, heaven forbid, if they take out Georgia tonight and then they run the table for the rest of their season, they're a one-loss team, and one-loss teams make the playoffs. So Ole
Yeah.
Miss they have a lot to play for. Georgia has a lot to play for as well. I mean, from your perspective, a player's perspective, uh, just tell me how big this game is. I know every game is big, but how big is this game for the University of Georgia?
It's you know, when you understand the game, you understand sports. It's all competition.
Right.
And like you just said, every game is big, but they know that Georgia knows that this is that game that's going to set the rest of the season for them. Because it's late in the season, and usually, you don't get many games this late in the season where you have a top 10 team.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
This game is huge for them. Like I said, we need to be on our tonight. We need to have everything in place. We can't be sluggish, starting out too slow, because Ole Miss is the type of team, and I respect Lane Kiffin too. You said that a minute ago, Chris. A lot of people don't like Coach Kiffin, but I respect him because I think he's a genius in offense.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
And but we gotta be on our A game. I think I think it's great that Brock Bowers is coming back. Hopefully he will be full speed, because that's just another level that we could take the Bulldogs to when he's available. And I think we're going to have to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
We're going to have to score a lot of points and rotate a lot of guys in there on defense. Our middle linebacker, he's out with a broke forearm.
Right.
And so the other guys are going to have to step it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a big game. Must win.
Yeah. So it's a night game. Obviously, it's a night game. Now you've played so much football, and great career with Georgia, a stellar career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In a college setting, there's just something different about a night game, especially when it's a big game. Can you kind of maybe quantify the difference between playing during the day and at night? Why is there, I don't know, a little extra oomph in a night game as opposed to a day game?
Well, I really preferred in college to play during the daytime. You had that feeling when it came to Friday night lights in high school.
Right.
That's that same feeling. So it kind of takes the kids back to that moment of Friday night. And plus, all the other games have been played, with the primetime game for this evening, and all of America and even across the world are watching the Bulldogs and the Ole Miss Rebels tonight.
Right.
So there's just something about the nights, the night lights, and especially in Athens, Brother Chris. There's nothing like a football game at night in Athens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just the technology that we have and the way they light up the stadium. If as a player and a coach, if you can't get up for a game like this, then you don't need to be coaching and you don't need to be playing.
Yeah, and of course, Georgia going for what? It's 27th straight victory, or 26, something like that. The run that Georgia is on. I tell people all the time, back-to-back national championships. It is so hard to win one. I mean, there's such a fine line between these top teams, and it's so hard to win one when you go back-to-back. I mean, seriously. You go back to back, and then you're still in the hunt for a three-peat, which is almost like science fiction, for Georgia fans. It's almost way out there in the realm of, can this really happen? I tell people all the time, these are the good old days. Now, you played at Georgia, you played in the NFL. You love the Bulldogs, and I know you really love college football. Across the board. But can you maybe put in perspective just a little bit about what it's like right now in the midst of this? Would you say that we're in the middle of the good old days for the University of Georgia?
definitely. We're definitely in the middle of the good old days because, it's just something to fight for. People always ask me, Brother Chris, they say, well, what were your best memories as an athlete, as a football player? And a lot of people think it was in the NFL. No, it wasn't in the NFL. It was at the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
Because number one, that's a time when you establish yourself, you make friends for life. You're always going to be a part of that family. And even back then, it was more of an amateur thing now, even though you got the NIL thing now,
Right.
but it's still that amateur thing, and you're fighting. You're fighting together as a team. You live together, you eat together, you do everything together, and you're fighting together as a team for that championship. And right now, Georgia have something. There's something they can do that no other team has ever done,
Wow.
and that's to win 3 national championships, 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be easy for the Dogs to do this. It's going to be very hard. But if they can do this, the one thing they must do is focus one game at a time,
Right.
one play at a time, one game at a time, and just keep winning. Just keep winning.
Just keep winning.
Don't take your foot off the gas.
Yeah. Don't look
Yes, sir.
forward. And I think with,
Yep.
with our coach, obviously, he's not one. He's not one. Kirby doesn't look forward. He keeps the guys grounded. Man, what a good coach he is. Now, on the SEC Western side, okay, Alabama clinched today. They're in the SEC championship. So if Georgia, can do what they need to do, here comes Georgia and Alabama again. Now, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch, but Georgia and Alabama again in the SEC championship. And I watched Alabama today. And since the quarterback Milroe has found himself, I guess you could say, at Alabama, boy, Alabama's tough. I mean, that's a very good football team, despite the loss they have. I mean, they're a very good football team. Man, that's going to be a hard assignment to take on Alabama in the SEC championship game. Listen, back in the day, now did you ever play against Alabama back when you were at Georgia?
My very first collegiate game in 1985 was against the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Okay.
We played on the Monday night.
Really?
And I'll never forget, I'm a freshman.
Yeah.
I had a couple of plays that I played, but I'm a freshman, and standing across the line looking at me was a guy named Cornelius Bennett.
Oh yes.
And I'm an 18-year-old freshman from North Carolina. They had Mike Shula, Kerwin Bell,
Yeah.
and all those guys, Big John Hand, and
Oh man.
we had them beat, but they came back, with a minute left on the clock, and they beat us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my only opportunity to play against Alabama.
I tell people this is big boy football now. I mean, you get late in the season, you're going for your conference championship and a chance to go to the playoffs. I mean, this is like really big boy football now. So right now you have the top 4 and it's getting close to game time. So just a couple of more minutes with you. Right now you got Ohio State number 1 in the college football rankings, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, Florida State number 4. Obviously when Ohio State and Michigan play one another, probably one of those teams will be dropping out. Oregon is giving Washington fits. I don't know today. I don't know what the final of that game is or anything like that. Give me your best guess as to what will be the 4 teams that make it in the college football playoffs. Yeah, I'm thinking this. I'm thinking Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and Florida State, maybe Washington, maybe Oregon. What do you think? It's fun to speculate. What do you think? Where are we headed with the college football playoffs?
Well, I think they're going to have to take it up a little bit higher than just having 4 teams.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the season of all college football this year across the board, there's some good teams out there, and anybody can beat anybody. Because I haven't really seen that total domination of any game like I've seen years past. Especially the 2021 team.
Right.
but anybody can beat anybody. And like you said, Chris, Alabama is not the same Alabama that played against Texas this year.
No, they're not.
You know, no, they're good. But I could see Georgia. I can Ohio State definitely. That's going to determine a lot when Ohio State plays Michigan.
Right.
I can see the way Florida State's playing right now, and the way they beat Miami. Just there, I can see Florida State. I can see Bama, and I was kind of thinking before Kansas beat them, Oklahoma, and before I think West Virginia beat them too, but because of what they did to Texas and what Texas did to Alabama. But this what makes it so much fun, and I think after this year they're gonna have to up this thing to maybe 6 to 8 teams in that playoff.
Yeah, I think the plan is a 12-team playoff, if I remember correctly. Seeing it, and they're talking about a 5+7. I guess from the major conferences you have the champions and then +7 after this season. I agree with you. They're and that will create, man, can you imagine like a semifinal college football playoff at Sanford Stadium with Georgia taking on Washington or something like that? Wouldn't that be cool on campus?
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Well, listen, Tim, we're going to get out of here. It's getting close to game time. And, you and I kind of communicate often on social media. You're a great guy. Tell me what you're doing these days for the Lord. I love communicating with you. What's happening with you these days?
Well, I am an evangelist. I get a chance to travel around the country and share the gospel with people. I also in leadership development with the youth. I do a lot of motivational speaking with the youth, but my heart is totally sold out to the Lord. I love preaching the gospel. And so that's some of the things that I'm doing now. I'm on the road a lot. I get a chance to mingle and connect with a lot of different people. I have my hands in the mental health field now. So God has been good to me, and He's opening up so many doors for me. And I'm getting an opportunity to just meet so many different people all over the country and even out of the country.
I tell you what, Tim, you're a great guy, and keep doing what you're doing. And I got to tell you, you're in pretty good shape now. I think I could see you back on the field again. I mean, really, seriously. What do you think?
No way. I was in Athens last weekend for the homecoming Missouri game, and I'm running into everybody, and they're like, "Tim, you look great. You look like you can still play." I said, "Yeah, don't let the smooth taste fool you, brother." Listen,
I love it.
I might can give you one carry, off tackle, and then you have to pack me an ice out.
I got you, brother. I got you. Well, thank you, Tim, for joining us. And hey, go Dogs, right?
Go Dogs. Let's get it done.
Yeah, let's get it done. Thank you. Tim Worley, of course, great University of Georgia football player. So we're getting close to game time. Oh boy, I tell you, with the Missouri win over Tennessee, this that amps up this game. And by the way, we're getting word that apparently Brock Bowers will be playing. Now, how much he's going to play is anybody's guess. He's coming off surgery, and it's the type of surgery where I understand, did a little study on it, that people can really bounce back in 3 or 4 weeks, which is unbelievable. To be able maybe Tua had the same kind of surgery, and he was back in 4 weeks. So we'll see how effective Brock Bowers may be. Now, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe will be calling the game tonight. So what is your prediction? And we appreciate everybody kind of jumping in here with us. Jason is saying 45-21. And so there you go. I'm calling 34-17. That's my favorite score, because usually when I call 34-17, Georgia wins. So that's what I'm doing. But it's so good to have you guys jumping in here with us. Now, we'll be back at halftime and give you the opportunity to give us, to give us the opportunity. I don't know what that was. The opportunity to talk about what's happening at halftime. And so we'll give you the opportunity to do that. Georgia owns the edge over Ole Miss, 32-13-1. Georgia and Mississippi have not played since 2016. Georgia, of course, 9-0 on the year, the number 2 team according to the college football playoff rankings, 6-0 in the SEC. Ole Miss is number 9 in the country. They're 8-1, 5-1 in the SEC. Georgia beat Missouri 30-21, and after watching Missouri play Tennessee today, I tell you that Georgia win over Missouri kind of etched up a little bit as far as being a very good victory over a very good Missouri football team. And last week, Texas A&M, Ole Miss beat Texas A&M 38-35. So the SEC West title now is out of reach for Ole Miss with Alabama's win today. But, Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels will, they're obviously going to try to win the games, to become maybe an 11-1 team. Who knows? That may get them in there to be halfway qualified, perhaps, to be in the college football playoffs. Ole Miss has a very good quarterback, Jackson Dart. Very back. They have a lot of good receivers. Their defense is not the best in the world, but it is better than it has been in the past years. Ole Miss, their schedule, they beat Mercer 73-7. Then they took out Tulane, Georgia Tech. They lost to Alabama 24-10. Then the Ole Miss beat LSU. Then they beat Arkansas. Then they beat Auburn, Vanderbilt, and last week they won Texas A&M 38-35. So there you go. Coach Kirby Smart says, that apparently the Brotbauers might be playing, and he's been practicing, and it looks like he might be playing. In SEC action today, Alabama took out Kentucky 42-14. South Carolina with a big win over Vanderbilt. Missouri taking out Tennessee. And Auburn, big time over Arkansas. LSU and Florida play tonight, 7:30 on the SEC network. Texas A&M and Mississippi State playing on ESPN2. But the big game on ESPN coming up in just a few moments, the University of Georgia taking on the Ole Miss Rebels. Huge game for the University of Georgia if they want to get to where they want to go. And we all want to go to back to back to back. So we're going to get out of here, let you get ready for the game. We'll be back at halftime. We'll talk some more about UGA and Ole Miss, and we'll take a look at what's happening or what has happened in the first half, set up the second half. So join us then. Thank you for being with us here, and we'll be back at halftime. Until then, you know what we always say.